First, I was nothing. Then, I was stardust. Eventually, I became a eukaryotic cell, duplicating in the primordial seas. I was a fish for a while, spent a long time developing emotions and tool use as a chimp. I went hunting and gathering for a couple hundred millennia and developed speech, social bonds, and deep contemplation. With time and experience, I became an individual organism, using the term I to describe my experiences and understand my role in the tribe through a singular, subjective form. I began to manipulate symbolic representations in my mind, to attach words to the baffling qualities of existence, and predict futures yet to unfold. With that ability, I developed a paranoia about my mortality. To counter this fear, my tribe unconsciously began worshipping the sun and sacrificing ourselves and other organisms to make symbolic ends meet, and to preserve our desire for continued existence beyond this human form. Later, we began to create gods to explain the mysteries of our origins. Eventually, I refined my symbolic manipulations into philosophy to explain reality with a bit more precision and scrutiny. I began to form a deeper understanding of my emotions and my values. Our conceptions of reality began to feel a little closer to home. With time, I arrived at what we know as science, and came to the realization that I am a collective of 35 trillion cells, all working in cohesion to create a sense of holistic identity, and to operate with agency within my environment. Apparently, all of my symbolic representations are the result of the causality and chemistry necessary to keep my organism alive and cooperative with all the other organisms. And it is unfortunate that this realization came after the former. This materialist philosophy seems overly reductionist and neglects a possibly bigger picture, that the universe is inherently both intelligible and intelligent. If so, it must be doing so entirely accidentally, and this means that the onus to make meaning out of all of this truly falls upon us, the Homo sapiens. I returned to philosophy to ground my empirical revelations with personal insight. Purpose, meaning, fulfillment, and contentment are now more important than ever as my species expands its societies and complexifies. After taking account of all these foundational identities, I now feel comfortable speaking for my tribe of 35 trillion, and we agree that it's useful to use labels to identify as a musician, a mentor, and a philosopher of psychology. We are a distributed, dynamic system with all of our little identities, but we now know that we speak monistically as a singular entity to keep cohesion in our individual and in our society. These labels are useful, but it's important not to hold my sense of identity as more valuable than the distributed consciousness of the human superorganism. This continuously growing identity of the human collective is what's primary, as is the mission of all forms of life to continue existing in progressively better forms. The 86 billion neurons in this brain and the 2 million in this gut all agree. This unity is the best order of operations. Before I am an individual ego and adorn myself with titles, accolades, and trophies, I am an evolved social being, an interdependent emergent system. Now I begin to truly realize myself. I am an integral part of the universe, a vessel for universal introspection. This is not a mystical or theological mission, but a deliberate and grounded responsibility to live my life fully, with purpose and a deep sense of connection. I am a being of distributed cognition, a Homo sapien. I am the 5 people that I hang around the most. I am what I eat. I am how I sleep. I am how I exercise. I am the genes that I was given, and the systems of meaning and interpretations of reality that I've adopted from others. Now I am a metacognitive being that recognizes itself as a central hub within this distributed network of cognition. And, most importantly, I know how to not let that go to my head. Now that I know of all these influencing factors, I can begin to intervene. I can metacognize. Instead of being a causal actuator of whatever thoughts arise into my head, I can now question these thoughts and act on those that serve in my best interest, and in those of others. I now choose the 5 people that I hang around the most. I use willpower to alter what I eat, how I sleep, and how I exercise. Most crucially, I can question my influences and direct my life how I please. I can form my own systems of meaning, heal from my past traumas, and achieve personal mastery within this form. My philosophies now become whole. All of my cells seem to cheer with this decision to break past the deterministic, mechanistic bounds of cause and effect, to transcend the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses that have bound my many identities all of these billions of years. I surpass the tragic requirements of my emergence. I amalgamate peace and order over chaos and violence. I now overcome the restrictions of natural selection and embrace a more deliberate selection, taking my many lives into my own hands, quite literally as I begin to alter my own genetics. Psychologically, my subjective collective thrives. Nothing psychosomatizes, for the executive functioner at the top is now handling whatever life throws at him with skill and grace, be it his Crohn's disease or his mentally disordered states. And now this executive functioner feels the need to give back. It has learned much and is fueled by a sense of duty to share what it's learned, and to help other systems of cohesion become more cohesive and to thrive as it has thrived. We house our collective identity under the name Patrick, and this Patrick knows that he is nothing without his fellow organisms, both large and small. My knowledge of my species' past fuels my confidence for our future. The more we match our knowledge with mutual virtues and values, the better decisions we will make. We do not know what we will become, but we must work together to make a world for ourselves that we actually want to occupy. This universe's cognitive capacities and its entire sense of existence is embedded in reality, extended through other minds, enacted through activism and movement, and embodied in this organic vessel. This universe has finally found a comfortable embodiment. This universe has finally found a comfortable embodiment.